Hey everyone, Uttam here, Devil Engineer at Alchemy, and today I've got a very special guest from Celestia joining us to talk all things rollup, data availability, and what's cooking in the Celestia ecosystem. But before we dive in, if you're building in the rollup space or planning to launch your own chain, definitely check out alchemy.com/rollups. Our rollup as a service platform lets you launch enterprise-grade rollups with instant developer tools, dashboards, and distribution. Everything you need out of the box. All right. Hey, Viet. Thanks for joining. How are you?
Hey, Uttam. Great. I'm feeling amazing. And thank you very much for having me today.
Oh, yeah. Alam, why don't we start with a quick introduction? How long you have been at Celestia and what's your role? When did you join the crypto ecosystem?
Yeah, so I joined the crypto ecosystem in 2019 by assembling my first mining rig for Ethereum for fun because I thought it would be a very cool idea to have a running rig in my basement. And that brought me basically to more broader exposure of why you run this thing, meaning you need to touch EVM and Solidity back in the days, but I never, went straight into it until I got my best friend, Clip, shout out to my boy, Clip, who nudged me to drop my golden handcuff job at Oracle and ape into the seed startup back then called LazyBridging that was rebranded to Celestia. And I joined Celestia full time in August 2021. And since then, I've been one of the founding engineers, shipping code, having fun, launching devnets, testnets, and mainnets. But now time has changed. I grew up a little bit, and now I'm head of DevRel, helping other developers that also will come from Alchemy to figure out if they want Celestia or not, and how we can help them on the journey.
Awesome. I mean, Celestia has always been at the center of solving the data availability problem for rollups. For listeners who are new to this space, so can you explain how exactly Celestia helps rollups scale more efficiently and affordably?
Yes. In order to do that, as a developer, I would love to bring us to the Excalibur board because it helps the audience to get acquainted with what about to happen. Okay, so how does Celestia solve the data availability problem? It's actually very simple. We use a technique called erasure coding, where if you look at this orange box, it's basically any block, in any blockchain, you just have a block that contains a bunch of blobs. In Ethereum, it's with EAP 4844, basically it's its own transaction type. In Celestia, we only have blobs from the first, basically, design principles that when we were coding all this. And in order to make it safe, we decided that it is much better idea to extend the block using erasure coding, where you do two-dimensional erasure coding technique. And how it works. First, we just extend the rows. So if we see here in particular, we just have 4 rows, we take the 4th and we basically copycat it to this part of the realm. So now you have 1, 2 part of the blocks. And then what we do next, we extend the columns. So we just go every column and we extend it more. So as you can see, the consensus block is actually just 1 square, but the data availability block is the 4 squares combined. And why do you want to do this? You'll ask me, this is a little bit complicated. Why do you want to do this? The good answer to it is we need to make it available, meaning that if someone will want to withhold 25% of the block, let's say the original one, the orange one, no problem. You can reconstruct it. It's like the same as you think of it back in the good old days when we had CD discs or DVD discs, and you scratch a little bit of it, but you can still watch your movies and play your music. This is the same technique here. And how you check that the data is available, well, this is where we have the light nodes. And just to give you a short example how the light nodes work, they technically look at all the small squares, and we just go and we sample them randomly. So let's play right now. Uttam, you and me, we're basically a light node, and we go to this square and we check, is it available there? Yes. We go here, is it available? Yes. And we do this basically sampling technique randomly 12 times for each block. And what happens is if you take all the light nodes in the world that just randomly sample some part of the block, you can technically reconstruct the entire block using only light nodes. Thus, we make data withholding attack very expensive. And one of the parts that I was doing at Celestia before becoming a DevRel is to verify that you can reconstruct the block using 1,412 light nodes. So they all got a block somewhere in the world, and then they help one honest full node to recover the latest block in order to check what is happening inside of it. Like, some rollup data, aka, etc. So now we all know why light nodes are very important to scale. The more you have light nodes, the more you can scale the block, meaning we can get to this insane numbers, which is Mama 1 testnet, which contains 128 megabytes of blocks. This is really big. And the end game for us right now, as we're speaking, is 1 gigabyte blocks, meaning it's even more. And you can't do this safely if you don't have end users verifying what is happening inside of them. Like, imagine if the whole world will basically withheld all the data, not show to Utam and Viet rollup what is happening there, how we can say that our chain is secure or even our chain is transparent towards our own users. But with light nodes, it's basically becoming impossible. So now, if we want to go to the third part, how we make it efficient, this is where it goes interesting. That I think we all know the problem of induced demand. The good example of it is highways. You build more highways in thought of people will, you can accommodate more people. The problem becomes you will have even more traffic jams because people love that they can drive faster from A to B. Good thing about internet and blockchains in general, you can have induced demand, which brings the cost down for everyone. But because everyone is using more, you can have a good economy, which means that if we bet right and say that, current applications that we have in Web3 is just the beginning of the tip of the iceberg, like we do with the dot-com bubbles, then you need a lot of space, aka block space, for people to grow further. And now, you have interesting projects like Azuki doing anime on chain. You have teams like Hibachi doing clubs and blobs. We'll talk about it a little bit later. And yeah, I'd say sky is the limit when it goes to creativity. And for all of them, the baseline is the block space is cheap for their chains and it's affordable. And yeah, it's safe, meaning they can verify what is happening on the base layer. I hope it was good.
Oh yeah, for sure. That was really, really good. I think, yeah, with all the institutional adoption, we definitely need more blob space. Okay, so we have made a lot of progress with rollups in general, but now the big challenge is secure bridging between these rollups. So what's Celestia's approach to this? I know there is a thing called LazyBridging Protocol. So can you can go deep in that, like how it is exactly solving the interop problem?
Sure. Before we continue to what is lazy bridging, first things first, lazy bridging is the lifestyle. As Mustafa said it, I don't know why. I love it. Lazy bridging is a lifestyle. And to give our audience here a little bit of overview, I think, Utam, you know this also yourself. Bridging in the current landscape that we have is very opinionated. Like, hey, look at this part of look at this contract. If you implement this, now you can bridge. But if you bridge on the other side, you have the asset that is not the asset that you actually wanted. So good luck figuring it out. Or someone else will say, hey, we only support this bridge, but not that bridge technique. And if you and I today will compare this to Stripe in Web 2, we'll just say, you know what, guys, we'll stick with Web 2, like for now, yeah, have a great day. And then, you go and you do your thing. We want to solve that in Celestia. We understood that, with liquidity fragmentation, rollups becoming too siloed, you need a good technique to give developers to do what they actually want, which is bring the users from whatever part of the ecosystem they are. And this is where we go to the lazy bridging, where instead of being very opinionated to our, users, in particular our developers, we go from, completely backwards thinking, where we say, we just want to give you a simple rule, what to do. The rest, you want to define it yourself. And what I mean by that is, think of Celestia as only a verifier of a proof. There's nothing else you need to worry about. And to give you more understanding how this is more than doable today, thanks to bridging protocols like IBC or Hyperlane, we can actually be possible. What I mean by this is, in Hyperlane, you can have interchain security modules. In IBC, you can write your own. And now, instead of only, trusting a multisig, you can actually do a ZK interchain security module, meaning that if you bridge from base to your own rollup, let's say it's an Orbit L3 on Alchemy or Celestia underneath, guess what? You can ask your users, hey, go from, base to my rollup using lazy bridging. It's easy as that. You deploy it, and on the Celestia side, what we only ask you is basically, please send us the proof that the state transition has happened correctly. We only verify it on our side, and that's it. We don't want to know, is it, Viet interface, or it's, I don't know, Alchemy intent-centric model of bridgings. Like, no one cares. What do we only care at Celestia is that, please let us verify that it's correct. By what is correct, we will be later on. And a good thing to learn more about this, I don't want to, basically repeat our core engineer, Nina. She gave a fantastic talk in Protocol Band about the transaction flow on lazy bridging and how you can technically today run your own ZK EVM with lazy bridging and test it yourself. And of course, we have we have 2 CIPs, Celestia improvement proposals, going out, discussing about packet forward middleware and zero knowledge EDCA security module itself. So yeah, lazy bridging is super fun. I really think of it as lifestyle, and I hope in the future all rollups become chains where it doesn't matter where the liquidity lies. What matters is how people take the liquidity with them to your particular application. I hope it's also making sense.
Yeah, that totally makes sense. Actually, I was there in real life, attended the session by Nina. That was actually helpful. So if anybody is interested to learn more about lazy bridging, and I highly recommend you to watch that. It's actually really technical and explains clearly what's your approach is of solving the secure bridging problem. Yeah. I think also right now on crypto Twitter, CLOBs on blobs is like a narrative that is trendy. Would you mind summarizing that maybe in quick so that people who don't know anything about clubs, they can also understand it? What exactly is that?
So yeah, of course. First thing that we need to say is to pay due to the culture of CT, which means you need to say one word, hyperliquid. Then to explain it better, we all understood that the best way to trade is to have a CLOB. A CLOB is a central limit order book. It's that simple. You have a bunch of orders of buy and sells, and you try to match and keep the spread super low. The problem we have right now, in general, is CLOBs were typically only available for centralized exchanges because our blockchains back in the days were too slow. They were too opinionated. Developers didn't have even fine-tuned control to build their own clubs. But this is changing. And thanks to modular architecture and how people can assemble their own building blocks, I wanted to share this insanely great Escali draw kiss piece of content from Jay. This is how basically you want to build a club and blob, meaning that you still want to run your engine off chain, but the sequencer wants to post all the batches that are very important of data, how people are trading, as much as possible as blobs to a DA layer. It can be Celestia, or if you're like you really want to tap into the ecosystem, even to like any other. But for our particular use case, we already have Hibachi that is using basically the technique of CLOBs and blobs, where they run the engine off chain, but they post data to Celestia because they know that users, in case of, let's say, apocalypse, they want to escape the platform. And this is bullish because finally we are bringing, as we like to say in our industry, bring as much on chain as possible. In particular, trading is one of the use cases. And we have been in talks that, it would have been wonderful if all the orders, cancels, swaps, crosses, they all become fully on chain without leaking all the strategies. So now CLOBs and blobs are finally opening up the new landscape to building your own chain, technically. And now we have up with the problem that, for example, James Wind had, where he placed that big bet in Hyperliquid. Well, now everyone sees it. And, as a trader, you don't really want people to see that happening. So privacy is becoming too.
Yep, totally. Everything, even in the Berlin, I think last week, privacy was like a major topic of discussion. I wasn't expecting that, but it was a really huge topic, and I think it totally makes sense. We are now seeing mainstream adoption, and I think privacy is the next big thing, and people need privacy. So, yeah, privacy is like on peak right now. Okay, I mean, I'm also curious about what's next for Celestia. So I know there is a thing called Lotus upgrade that is coming soon. So can you give us like a sneak peek of what it includes, how it impacts chains like building on Celestia? I think major chains like Eclipse, Rise, and many more chains are using Celestia underneath. So how does this upgrade affects those chains?
Yeah. So Lotus by itself is the first of a series of upgrades where we're tackling Lotus 2 points that I'm most bullish on myself. First one is Hyperlane. We finally support Hyperlane in protocol, meaning that Hyperlane is connected to 160 ecosystems. Now it's all available for rollup developers that are doing rollups on Celestia. That's super great. It's also by basically it's also is adding up to the toolkit of IBC, meaning that developers right now have multiple choices to select when they're building a rollup on Celestia. The second part is where the community has spoken a lot. It's about the economics, the same economics of the Celestia protocol itself. When we're talking about reducing inflation and basically locking staking rewards, finally it's happening, and I'm really glad that the team has been taking it seriously and doing it. The core devs, as you want the community to feel that their voice and feedback is listened into the system of technical implementations and so on. Post Lotus, what I love about the roadmap is we're constantly making the blocks bigger. So one of the taglines for us is to go bigger, and soon we will have 32 by 6 megabytes blocks, which will basically catapult us straightly to, I would say, 20 megabytes a second territory or even higher. This is fair. I don't want to put the numbers up front because I don't know them myself. But yeah, I have seen and dev, if you want to try it out, go to Mamo 1 testnet. It's just working. It's just working, I would say, boring as it should be. And we want to see this on mainnet because we want people to deploy more apps in production and have fun with users instead of just doing in testnet and let the dust collect there. When it goes to protocols, I'm very proud of the work that Hibachi has been doing. They basically implemented privacy for perp and now everyone is starting to look into our new solution called private DA, which is verifiable encryption. This is also a super cool technique how you can post the data to Celestia to make it available, but no one knows exactly what is that. So now a lot of data that you thought you must post as is. Technically on Celestia, you don't need to do that anymore. You just encrypt the data itself, but you still prove that it is available. And shout out to our solutions engineer, Noob. He has been spearheading it. Now we see a lot of teams, they want to play around with private data availability. And I hope, people using Alchemy will also pay attention and try it out too. This is what is super cool lately.
Well, yeah, that's super cool. I think it also differentiates Celestia from the data availability layer, because I think right now there is no solution to get like a private DA space. So I think that's a really cool thing. And we are definitely going to see a lot of adoption for that. Really. I think that's it. But before we wrap up, any advice for developers or projects who want to like get started building with Celestia, and how they can get involved in the Celestia ecosystem?
Yes. So if you want to be involved with the ecosystem, first thing, ask your friend to come with you because doing it alone is not fun. Second, we have Camp Memo, which helps developers get super acquainted with our ecosystem and don't feel like it's boring university series. We try to be inspired heavily from Drive to Survive, Netflix documentary series. We put a lot of heart and work into producing such content for people to watch. I'll link here for the audience. We'll make it live in August. So please wait for further announcements. I hope we'll make it soon, how it will look like. And instead of just, testing out the stacks or playing around for the sake of playing around, after you finish Camp Mammo in, I would say, September, October, we will launch Mammothon 2. And Mammothon 2 will be I would say, playground for builders to prove that they want to really ship a cool app to be noticed. Because we know how painful it is to participate in a bunch of hackathons. I'm 100% sure you also heard that. That you just do a bunch of hackathons and you don't know what to do next. What we know, and it worked for us, is previous Mammothon gave 3 teams seed or pre-seed checks. And now the business, I'm very proud of the work they're all doing. And Mammothon 2 is solving exactly that. We just want to remove the noise for new builders to come in so they don't feel like we are all ivory tower magicians. We're just normal devs with fun attitudes, and we want to invite more people to come in. So please join to Camp Mammo so you can meet me and the team, the rest of the real team, and Mammothon 2 to ship a cool app.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, I would really recommend anyone watching this, if you're a developer, you should definitely participate in the Mammothon 2 hackathon. Mammothon was, if I remember, was a really huge success. So definitely go and participate and check it out. By the way, I think that's it. But if you're watching this and if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to Viet on Twitter. And if you have any questions for me, feel free to reach out to me as well. And go and follow Alchemy and Celestia on Twitter. That's it. Thank you so much, Viet, for joining.
Thank you so much for having me. And audience, please follow Uttam. He's doing the Lord's work.